Three Super Tips are joined by Tony Cottee here today. Now, while I got him, I thought, what idea can we come up with? So we're going to ask Tony for his all-time Premier League 11.
What a tough choice it was as well. You really put me on the spot, Dean, but it's been really tough.
Yeah,
really
so we decided to go with a 4-4-2 formation to make it easier.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with a goalkeeper. Now, tough choice, obviously. A few that sprung to mind were obviously David Seaman. If you look at the goalies of now, David De Gea, Schmeichel from the past, United sides, etc. Who did you plump for?
Well, I'm old enough to say I played against Shilton and Ray Clements and Pat Jennings as well, but they didn't come into it. Obviously, we're talking Premier League. Listen, there was only one choice for me. You mentioned some fantastic goalkeepers, but the one goalkeeper I used to play against, and I hated playing against him because he was so good and so big, and used to do his star jumps, and he was just rabbiting all the time. But Peter Schmeichel was a fantastic goalkeeper, and I think you can put cases for many other goalkeepers, but I think he's head and shoulders above everyone else.
When he used to come off the line and spread himself.
It scare the life out of me when he used to do that. But no, I think for me, I think he's a comfortable number one.
Right. So then we had to move on to a right back.
Yeah.
Probably not as many choices here. Couple that sprung to mind were obviously Lee Dixon, Gary Neville, and I don't know if any others cropped up for you, but who did you end up going for?
Well, again, I ended up going for Gary Neville, but it was a relatively straightforward choice for me, really. I mean, Lee Dixon, obviously, Lee played like myself, would have played pre-Premier League as well, and an outstanding fullback. And there's been a few others who perhaps can, sort of half lay a claim to this spot. But I think in terms of consistency, in terms of winning medals, in terms of what he brought to the game, I think, Gary for me was a very obvious first choice at right back.
Then we move on to left back. Now, we've got obviously Ashley Cole, Patrice Evra, Stuart Pearce, Psycho, as we know. There's one other one who could have gone right back or left back, Dennis Irwin. He's not always mentioned in these, but he was a fantastic United player. But who did you plump for left back?
Well, again, like Dennis Irwin, you're right. But he crossed over, didn't he, from the old Division 1 and the Premier League. So I mean, we're just talking purely Premier League. And again, for me, Ashley Cole is head and shoulders above the other guys. Stuart Pearce was a player I didn't go too near to. I've got to be honest. He used to scare me. So, but Ashley was for about 10 years. I think he was consistently the best left back, not just in the Premier League, but in the world as well. Yeah. And I think if you spoke to most people, I think they would have Ashley Cole at left back.
Nice to see him back as well in the Championship.
Yeah, back scoring as well. Scoring as well for Derby last weekend. His first ever FA Cup goal. You could never get that one, could you?
Unreal.
But no, it's good to see him back in English football.
So then we had to find a centre-back pairing. I'm going to just reel off a few. I mean, this must have been really difficult for you. Jaap Stam, Steve Bruce, Vincent Kompany, Vidic, Sol Campbell, Tony Adams, Ferdinand Terry. I mean, there was so many you could have picked. Give us your two, and did you pick them as because you thought they'd go well as a pairing, or was it more just you thought they were the best two?
No, what I've tried to do with my team is to try and get players that you think can play with each other. I've gone for a right footer and a player that's very comfortable in his left foot as a pairing. They play together for England. The two I've gone for are Rio Ferdinand and John Terry. I mean, the other names, Tony Adams particularly springs to mind. Sol Campbell was good, who I played against. Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, we didn't mention. There's plenty of players that spring to mind. But, again, I think, Ferdinand and Terry was a real good partnership and played, obviously, together at England level. I saw Rio come through as a kid at West Ham, and we knew
started in midfield, didn't he?
Yeah, he's sort of one of those players, a bit like Declan Rice at the moment, can play in front of the back four, and obviously ended up in the back four. So Rio for me was always going to be an easy choice. Very comfortable bringing the ball out the back, and another good defender as well. I mean, John Terry was fantastic, read the game so well, right-footed, left-footed. He could score goals for you, pretty much get everything. So I think just looking as a pairing, for me, those two were the right choice.
Okay, so then we move on to the right side of midfield. I think, unless I've missed anyone out, this was probably a straight toss-up between Beckham and Ronaldo.
Yep.
For you?
Well, there's been some very good players in this position. I'm sure there's others that we haven't mentioned, but straight away I thought of David Beckham. But then I thought to myself, well, Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he was only English football. Was it 4 years? I think he was in English football. Yeah. But in terms of what he's gone on to achieve as a world player, and I love Becks. I think he was a fantastic player. But I couldn't have that many Manchester United players in my team. Sorry, Dean. But in terms of what he's brought to world football and what he did bring to the Premier League in those 4 years, I had to go for Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah.
So then we moved on to the left side of midfield.
Yeah.
A few candidates again, going back in time. John Barnes, fantastic player. Gareth Bale, of course, was in the Premier League. Hazard. And you can tell us who you ended up going for on the left side of midfield, which wasn't any of those three.
No, it wasn't. I mean, obviously Hazard is still playing now, and certainly giving it a good shout to be in this team. But I think if you look at the Premier League, it started in 1992, and up until the day he retired, there was one player who I think he pretty much scored every single season, was incredibly consistent. Fantastic player. And I had to go for Ryan Giggs, and that gives that balance on the left side of midfield. If you've got Ronaldo on the right and you've got Giggs on the left,
Wouldn't fancy being a couple of fullbacks marking them
the
two.
fullbacks wouldn't want to play against them two. But Giggsy again, he's one of those players. 20 years in the Premier League, he had to be in the team.
And who can forget that FA Cup goal against Arsenal
and the celebration as well,
and the hairy chest?
Exactly. I mean, you can't believe you're not allowed to take your shirt off now. It's ridiculous. What a celebration!
It's ridiculous.
That was crazy.
So centre midfield. Now again,
this was tough for me.
This was a tough.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got. If we're looking at players in the Premier League now, we've got De Bruyne, Silva. I mean, 6 months ago he'd have laughed at Paul Pogba, but how he's playing at the moment. Vieira going back in time, Yaya Toure, Lampard, Roy Keane, one of my favourites. Manuel Petit. There was so many. But again, have you come up with your two to fit them into the side, and who are your two? Yeah,
well, my first of all, my two are Paul Scholes and Steven Gerrard. In terms of Scholesy, I think he was just really the complete midfield player, and what I liked about him is he just got his head down, he got on with it. You never see him moaning about things, and he just had that awareness. He was always 2 steps ahead of everyone else. Could make things happen. Fantastic goal scorer, and I think you've got to have someone to create in that midfield and spray the ball out to the fullbacks. And the other guy that I picked can do that as well. I must admit, there's not too much defensive players, not too many defensive players in my team, but I think it's the old question about Lampard and Gerrard, really. And, I really, really tried to get Frank in my team because, again, he come through the youth team at West Ham with me and went on to have a fabulous career. And it's very, very hard to leave him out of this side. But I have just gone for Steven Gerrard. And I'm going to struggle to explain why, but just that, I don't know, that sort of wow factor, if you like. And so for me, Gerrard and Scholes, but who would defend out of those two? I'm not sure. He'd probably have to. Stevie might have to just play as the quarterback.
Good job, we've got a good defence.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, so we're left with just the 2 forwards now. Obviously, the list was endless who you could have put in here. We'll have a look through a few of them. So you've got Henry, Aguero, Shearer, Cantona, Ian Wright, Fowler, Bergkamp, Rooney, Drogba, Van Persie, Suarez, Van Nistelrooy,
Michael
Cottee.
Owen. I just thought of Michael Owen. Michael Owen.
Cottee. Did you nearly put yourself in?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't consider myself. Again, I crossed over the old Division 1 and the Prem, which I think that ruled me out. Well, that's the reason I've given anyway.
So what is your pairing?
This was the toughest choice for me. Most of the other players was. Yeah, straight away I knew who to put in that position. But when you said to me, I've got to pick 2 forwards, I think, oh my God, how do I pick 2 from the list? We just read out 10.
Pick 4, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you've just read out 10 world-class players there. The first person I had to have in my team was Thierry Henry. Reason for that, I think quite simply, the best forward player that there's been in the Premier League. Yes, there's been better goal scorers. Yes, there's been players that can head the ball better than Thierry Henry. But in terms of his all-round game, what he brought to the Premier League, his ability to take players on the score, I think he was absolutely outstanding. I love watching him play. He's a great lad as well. So Thierry Henry had to be in my team. Right. I'm then thinking, right now, I need a goal scorer because I've got my all-round forward. I need a goal scorer. And straight away, I'm thinking Alan Shearer, top goal scorer in the Premier League. But I thought to myself, do you know what? I've gone for, I think, all my players. Probably, there's a few that are coming to the end of their career, Ronaldo, Ashley Cole, but I'm thinking I need to get someone from the current Premier League into this team. So unfortunately, I've left Alan Shearer out on the basis that I think...
He won't be happy, Alan.
He won't be happy, no, he's going to be on the phone to me. On the basis that Sergio Aguero, if he can continue what he's doing, he ain't going to be far away from Alan Shearer. There's a lot of goals he's got to score over the next 3, 4, 5 seasons. I love watching Aguero. I think he's. What I like about him, he's similar sort of build to me. A stocky player. He's only 5'7", 5'8" inches tall, his movement, his goal scoring, his all-round game as well has come on. He's now the team player that Pep wanted him to be as well. And
he's changed his game, hasn't he?
yeah, I just love the way he scores a goal. Makes goal scoring look easy. And any player in my books that makes goal scoring look easy, it's got to be in the team. So, sorry, Al, I've gone for Sergio and Thierry up front.
So, quick reflection then. We've got Schmeichel in goal, Gary Neville right back, Ashley Cole left back, Ferdinand and Terry centre backs. You've got Ronaldo on one wing and Giggs on the other. Gerrard and Scholes in the middle, and Henry and Aguero up front. Now that takes some beating.
We're going to score 5 or 6 goals every game.
Yeah,
the problem
is will be busy.
Maybe defensively we might get caught out a few times, but we can do 5-4s and 6-5s and that. Listen, it's so hard, Dean, isn't it?
Yeah,
you look at. I think probably most people would probably have 5, 6, maybe even 7 of my players would be straight in any Premier League team. Yeah. It's the ones where you're not sure, Gerrard, Lampard, that type of thing, Aguero, Shearer, it's open to
debate, isn't it?
To debate, yeah. But I
think one thing that's not open to debate, if you had to have a manager with this side, it'd have to be Sir Alex, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. I don't think there's any doubt with that. And you can argue for Mourinho, for Wenger, and some other outstanding managers that have been in. Pep's obviously in that category now. Jurgen Klopp's doing well, but consistency, doing it season in, season out. Alex Ferguson is the manager. In terms of a captain, I probably would go Steven Gerrard, I think, for my captain. And I honestly believe that is a team that could take on any other Premier League 11 or even probably any of the current Premier League teams, and Manchester City included. I think they would give them a good game now.